When I was a kid, a salad to me was half a head of iceberg lettuce, and that's it. No dressing, no tomatoes, God forbid, no cucumbers. Laugh. Anyway, it wasn't until I grew up that I learned about the wonders of exotic leafy greens, such as arugula, endive, baby spinach, red oak, and flecked romaine lettuces, which, when combined, you'll find them in stores. It's called musclin mix. But if you've been down any grocery store aisle lately, you've seen how expensive this stuff can be. So we're stepping out of the grocery store and into the garden to show you how easy it is to grow your own exotic leafy greens. Now, I'm personally partial to heirloom varieties for a number of reasons. First of all, heirloom, by definition, means it's been handed down from generation to generation, which means it's been around, it's lasted on its own, it's survived on its own for a lot longer, which means it produces plants that are more naturally pest and disease resistant. Number two, they are not genetically modified, which is a new issue in the world today. So if you're planting a seed, you know you're getting lettuce and not some strange science experiment, gene-mutated weird thing. And number three, and also I think most importantly, heirloom varieties are unique. Most of them you cannot buy in the grocery store. So that makes it even more rewarding to grow them yourself in your garden. Let's take a look. Now, first we have one of my personal favorites. It's called Forellenschluss. I thought, Forellenschluss, how romantic. Somebody fell in love with a woman named Ellen Schluss and named a lettuce after her. But actually, it's not nearly that romantic. The name is Austrian, and it means speckled like a trout's back. Very exciting. But it's speckled. It's a flecked red romaine lettuce, and it tastes just like a romaine, but it's really interesting looking. Next, we move over to Rouge d'Hiver, or Rouge de Hiver, if you don't speak French like I don't speak French. It is also a romaine that has a red tip on the edge. It's best when picked young and it's very flavorful. Over here, next we have red oak, which is actually very common. You see this in the grocery store. This is the one that you can get in the grocery store, but I also recommend growing it yourself because it's very colorful. It's shaped like an oak leaf, which is why it gets its name, and it adds color and diversity to your salad. Now, these are all loose leaf lettuces, which can be harvested by picking the outer leaves around the outside of the plant, and if you keep it well watered and maintained, the plants will produce for up to 3 to 4 months on their own, and you'll just keep getting salads and all of that. Now, let's move on to a few head lettuces. This is black-seeded Simpson, and as you can see, it is a really light green lettuce, so it adds diversity of color, and it's a lighter texture than the romaine lettuces, really leafy, fluffy lettuce, very nice. Moving forward, this is called Regina di Maggio, and it is from Italy. It is a head lettuce that has a rippled edge, kind of a jagged edge, and they say that that jagged edge makes it look like a crown. So therefore that means Regina di Maggio, which is Queen of May. Back here we have Four Seasons, which hails to us from France. It is a red head lettuce that it looks a lot like deer tongue, which is another heirloom variety, which is very interesting. And lastly of the head lettuces, we have Reine de Glace, which is, again, French. I'm not saying properly, most likely. However, it looks a lot like our Italian cousin, Regina di Maggio, with the rippled edge around the lettuce. Now, the head lettuces get harvested by picking the entire plant. You can pull the plant out of the ground, or if you have plants close together, you'll just want to cut it off at the base and use the whole head of lettuce. Now, in addition to these really diverse lettuces, you can also throw in some other things to keep your salad interesting and flavorful. One of my personal favorites is arugula here, which is very peppery, adds bite, it's got a good kick, and I think you really like it if you haven't tried it before. It grows in profusion, and you know, I have a friend who I give all my extra arugula to. She makes entire salads out of this stuff. She's a very passionate person. So that's a good thing to throw in. You can also throw in baby spinach, which gives you iron and has a different texture and color and flavor. It's really a nice addition to salads. If you want to get really creative, you can throw in some herbs like basil, or over here you can throw in cilantro, which I really like. It's a good, unexpected burst of flavor. Or you can throw in parsley or sorrel or even watercress, or anything that you really like that you wouldn't ordinarily find in a salad. Throw it in and see what happens. So now let's talk about planting. When we're talking about loose leaf lettuces, those get planted 1/4 of an inch deep, whereas head lettuces only need to be planted 1/8 of an inch deep. And they need to be 6 inches apart. The arugula and cilantro can be closer together. They only need to be a couple inches apart, and they get planted anywhere from 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep. Spinach, on the other hand, is planted from 1/2 inch to 1 inch deep and needs a little bit more space than the arugula. I'd say 4 inches. But it'll all be according to your package directions. Now, if you don't want to deal with all the different planting depths and whatnot, there are seed companies who sell musclin mixes, which include a lot of the varieties I've talked about here, including some of the special added features like the arugula and mustard greens and whatnot. And just plant those according to the package directions and watch your garden grow.